Welcome back, YouTube, to another 1 hour grind series. So, today's topic, we're going to be looking at grinding Elvia Rhutum and showing you the location, rotations, any mechanics, and then finally looking at the loot. So, this spot is not too bad, and I mean, it's kind of similar to my last video with Elvia Primal Giants, and you can kind of expect somewhat similar numbers. Now, I will say the Marnie zone, when I did it, was kind of janky. For instance, when I was doing the one mechanic and when I had to drop off my loot to my horse, a message would pop up saying that I'm running away. And when I would come back, none of the mobs would spawn. So I would have to leave the Marnie zone and re-enter, which there's like a 5 minute cooldown. So I did a little bit of research, and apparently this spot was nerfed, whereas before you could have two portals. You could do two portals at the same time, but now if you leave during the mechanic where the mobs spawn in waves, then they will actually disappear. But as long as you finish the mechanic first, then you can drop off your loot and then start the mechanic back up. But in terms of getting the most trash and just being efficient at this spot, you probably don't want to be doing the Marnie realm because you do have to wait for the three elites to spawn. But I'll talk a little bit about the mechanics later on in the video. Also, just a quick disclaimer, just like my other 1 hour videos, so I don't get roasted with my trash numbers. But this video is geared towards a person who may be checking out the spot for the first time. So your money per hour may be a little less, which does reflect in my numbers. But I also talk about the potential average money per hour once you get efficient at the spot. Also, I'm not perfect, so if I happen to leave anything out that you think is important for the spot, please let me know down in the comments. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But with that being said, let's jump right on in. All right, so this spot is going to be located in the Elvia server close to Calpheon. So located right here, and Calpheon's right here. And I usually just go to the staple here to sell my trash. But essentially, in order to get into the Elvia realm, you're going to want to, there's two ways. The one way is going to be there's a UI up here, which you can't really see on my video, but it's going to be the Elvia realm. You're going to click that, and that's going to allow you to enter the realm. Or you can go into your menu here and go down to Elvia realm and click there as well. But once you get here, there's really no specific grind spot. You're just going to want to find a couple red portals. So there's like one over here and then one over here. And you're just going to grind around it. So gear. So let's pull up the monster info at this spot. And for your menu, it's probably going to have this section here, and you're just going to want to essentially hit view total stats, and you can see that the total AP that you're going to want is at least 700, and the total DP that you're going to want is going to be at least 380, and then the soft cap at this spot is going to be 835. So in terms of gear requirements, it's not going to be anything too crazy. It's definitely not going to be able to do it if you're a new player, but if you're like kind of in that mid tier, it's definitely doable. The mobs do hit decently hard, so if you're not paying attention, it can definitely chunk your health down pretty quickly. So mechanics, once you find your rotation around a red portal, you're going to want to kill three specific elite mobs, which one of them is going to be an archer, and you're just going to want to CC him first because he does kind of run around. But essentially, once you kill the three mobs, that's when the actual mechanic will take place, which there will be multiple waves that will happen, and once you clear a wave, another wave will spawn until eventually you get a notification stating that the Rhutums will set fire to their supply box and they'll flee. And Once that happens, you'll want to quickly kill or destroy the boxes, and you'll just have a higher drop rate on some of the rare items here at this spot. Now you can wait about 5 to 10 seconds for the elite mobs to spawn again, but I would suggest going to the second red portal and starting that mechanic back up. And once you finish that one, then you'll go back to the previous red portal and just repeat. These mobs, like I stated before with the gear recommendations, they can drop your health pretty quickly. So before you start the mechanic, you can destroy 3 watchtowers, which you can see one right here. Uh, Once you destroy 3 of them, it's going to spawn just a random wizard in a random area that will give you a damage reduction buff if you're inside kind of this yellow area, which then you can kill the 3 elites inside of that without having to worry too much about your HP dropping. Then also, if you're killing the Rhutums, you have a low chance of spawning another boss called the Grand Rhutum Chief, essentially just giving you a higher drop rate for, again, some of the rare items at this spot. And then the final potential mechanic here is sometimes while you're killing the mobs around the red glowing portal, you can get a low chance of Elvia distortion phenomenon occurring, which is where the area will go completely red and one of the 3 bosses will spawn, which will either be the Cyclops, the Gigagord, or the Ogre. And once you kill that boss, you'll get a 5-minute buff that will kill the monsters quickly. So, buffs that you may want to run to be more efficient at clearing can include a simple cron mill if you're under the monster AP cap, or the exquisite mill if you're over the monster AP cap. Then you have the frenzy drought, tent villa buffs, the church buffs, Bell's heart, AP monster artifacts with really any PvE lightstone combination that you might want to use. But I will say with this spot, demi-human damage is going to be the most important. So you're going to want to make sure you stack the human damage with your lightstones and with your crystals. All right, so I'm going to show you the rotation that I was using. So I am located again right here, and this is where I park my horse. So it's kind of a weird spot because if you park your horse down here, it's going to get attacked, and if you park it close up here, it's going to get attacked. So it's like the in-between point here. But that's where I park my horse, and then you're going to go to 2 red portals, which one's over here and then one's over here. So I will go ahead and show you that now. All right, welcome back. So let's see what we got in 1 hour with using a level 2 loot scroll with my drop rate being around 138%. And yes, I am not paying money to get the Blessing of Gamma, so it is what it is. I also did not use Agris at all at this spot because it's just not very efficient. You can also pay the 50 million to get the tent buff for a 50% increase on your drop rate, but I did not do that in this video. So let's go ahead and go over the drops real quick at this area. So I'm going to pull up the monster zone info. And for this spot, very similar to the last video with Primal Giants, pretty much the same exact loot. You're going to have a really rare chance of the Black Distortion Earring dropping, uh, which is mainly going to be dropped if you get the one special event where one of the 3 bosses spawn. And then here you have the Ancient Spirit Light, which that's just going to be a buff. It's going to kind of cleanse the area, and it's going to allow you to kill the monsters quicker. Then you're going to have the weapon and armor stones here. and you can either sell on the market or use for enhancement. And then you're going to have the Blessed Soul Fragment, which is going to be used to put on to, it's going to upgrade your Alchemy Stone. And it's a very, very rare drop. So typically you're going to have to get 200 of these in order to make one of these. Okay. And so kind of going back to the crystallized despair here, this can obviously be used for that, but also it can be used to get your embers, to get your in-game gloves. Okay, so you can exchange that for your in-game gloves. Then you have the chance of getting the sealed black magic crystal, which you can either just click that and you're going to get just a random black magic crystal, or you can process it down to get magical shards to use for other stuff. Then you have the massive pure magic. That's going to be used for enhancing your black star gear. Then you're going to have the scorching sun shard here, which is going to be used for enhancing your god-eyed weapons, or can be used for the Marnie sniper rifle. Then you have the corrupted breath, which you're going to use that to turn your frenzied droughts into the corrupted version of it, which is just going to give you more stats. And then this is the secondary trash, and then this is the primary trash. So you can see 18.5k, so not too bad. So Trace of Ascension is going to be essentially used to make other items. All right, so let's go over my drops. But first, before we do that, according to Garmoth, the potential average money per hour at 138% drop rate, which is what I was at with a yellow loot scroll, is around 736 million, with the average trash being around 20k. So that's a number you could potentially expect if your gear is at the right spot, and once you get efficient with the rotation, and if your class is decent or good with PvE. Also, it's important to note that your money per hour is going to vary based on your drop rate, and you can look at your drop rate right here. So for me, I'm at 31%. So if I add my loot scroll, that's going to give me right at 131%. Now, let's look at my few hours here. So the first 3 hours that I did, I was actually learning how to play Succession Sage. So my numbers definitely could have been higher, which I will show you my final hour with my main, which is a striker. But my first hour that I recorded while live streaming at 138% drop rate was around 508 million, and my trash was at 16.6k. And then another 1 hour, I got around 662 million. And for the trash loot, I got around 17.6k. And then the third hour, I got around 618 million. And for the trash loot, I got around 19.1k. So yeah, I mean, each hour as I was learning my Sage, I was increasing my trash loot. So that's a good thing. And then my final hour with my main, which again is a striker, I ended up getting 646 million and 21k trash. So I actually went over the Garmoth's average trash, which I think is the first time I've ever done that. So yay me. But overall, it's a pretty decently chill spot with the money per hour being decent, but I mean there are definitely better spots at this gear range to make more money. But let me know down in the comments what your class is and what your average trash per hour is at this spot, and how much money are you making in an hour. But with that being said, thanks for watching. If you like the content, then please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.